Hello, beautiful people. You like the ambiance? Probably can't tell, but there's actually like a color changing smart bulb going on in the background there. Let's look at all these lights. Like, it's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. Anyway, enough of that. You gotta have a good place to do your reviewing, that's for sure. And I've turned this little laboratory into something somewhat comfy. But we're gonna need light. So, sorry for the rude awakening there, but we gotta see what we're doing. What are we doing? Simgot. Another Simgot. Simgot got. This time it's the EM6L. This is a single DD 4BA hybrid. It is retails, I think, for $109.99. Let's get the specs out of the way here because, well, first of all, they're tiny, and second of all, let's just get them done. Okay, so what we have, single DD, 4BAs, impedance of 26 ohms, sensitivity of 119 decibels. They don't seem that sensitive to me, but, well, that's what it says. Frequency response from 8 hertz to 40 kilohertz. Of course, that, for us is 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. And an silver-plated OFC cable, high precision 3D printing, and a CNC aluminum faceplate. There you go. They look nice. Connection is QDC. That made it, well, almost impossible for me to cable swap. However, this set is on loan from my friend. Thank you again for supplying me with some sets to review. You're awesome. So he did send along a QDC triple win Zony cable. I believe this is. It's either Zony or Zoe. One of the two. So it was tested on a 4.4 Pentacon termination, primarily on the FIO. I said FIO last time, but it is FIO. The FIO K11, teeny little bit on the TA22, some on the Q3. Yeah, it was primarily the K11 because that's what I try to be consistent with that. It's not a super expensive desktop DAC amp. It's fairly accessible, and it's really good, and it's got a ton of power. So, I did a review on that. I can always link it in the description if you want to take a look-see or listen to. The EM6L. Simgot had a year, didn't they? 2023. 6 releases, I believe. EW200P, EA500, EA500LM, the EM6L, the EA1000 format, and I believe the EA2000 was last year as well. That's a grand total of 6 releases from a company that was not on most people's radar, although they've been around for a while. We're just kind of one of those maybe afterthought brands. Well, They brought the heat last year and really kind of put themselves on the map. But I wonder how long they're going to stay there. I do. I think with sets like the EA500LM, which a lot of people love, myself, I very much like it. I don't love it. And sets like the EA1000 format, which some people love, like as a single DD, consider it to be one of the better ones. And for $200, obviously it should be, but it actually seems to outperform even that price point. So they have hit on a couple, and of course the EW200P being their value offering, and they seem to have hit pretty well on that as well. So does the EM6L follow suit? Because the other ones that we're talking about are single DD configurations. This one is a hybrid. Like I said, 1DD, 4BAs. I want to talk about a movie. Maybe you're familiar with this movie, and maybe you're not. But it is a movie from now almost 24 years ago. It was released in the year 2000. The year 2000. Sorry, had to do it again. Spinal Tap. Another really good movie. That's a little different sense of humor wise, but okay. Anyway. Almost Famous. Story of, well, two stories really kind of intertwined. Story of a young, like, aspiring journalist slash music critic somehow finagling his way into embedding with a band, an aspiring 70s rock band. And their stories are, I mean, that's, I don't know how to say it. They're really well intertwined. It's a really good, like, heartfelt, but also dramatic, but also, like, exciting, but also, like, almost very realistic. You know, the band's name is Stillwater. It's not a real band, but it literally could have been any of probably hundreds of bands from the 70s that just didn't quite make it. And the only reason it wasn't for lack of passion or talent or energy or live performance prowess or anything like that. The members ended up just sort of getting in their own way. The band had all the potential. It just never fully realized it. And this kid chronicled the whole thing, and eventually at the end, he was able to get a piece published in Rolling Stone, which was his whole goal from the beginning. At that point, the band was already in the breakup phase, and that kind of put the nail in the coffin from what I remember. But that story, and you should watch that movie. It's, if you're a music lover, it's a fantastic movie. It's really great. Philip Seymour Hoffman, the late great Philip Seymour Hoffman, played a fairly well-renowned music critic. His name was Lester Bangs. Yes, Bangs, like me. So distant relative, but still a relative. Because we all landed in Eastham, Massachusetts in 1622. You don't need to know all that, but anyway, yes, he was a distant relative. So I have a little soft spot for that movie because of that too. And Hoffman was from this Western New York area as well. So there's a lot of reasons why I love that movie outside of just the movie. But it is all of that. It is apt to this set because this set had all of the potential to be great. But I feel like it just got in its own way. Something about it isn't quite there. It's not that it lacks necessarily in any one part of the frequency response. Like it has good bass. It has a little rumble. Sub bass is not a focus point. The mid bass slams pretty good. The mids, very clear. I'll get into some examples for you. Treble, also really clear, politely sibilant at the very top end. That might be part of the reason. And it's not because there can be good sibilants. Sibilant is like this bad word. Oh my God, that set is sibilant. You can't listen to it. It's fatiguing. Well, as I found with the Phoenix Call, if a sibilant is there but is not fatiguing, it can actually sort of add to the experience. In this case, it doesn't really do that. It kind of doesn't really do anything. And I think that's the problem. And it's not just in the treble, it's in the whole range of frequencies. This was tuned to or close to the 2019 Harman target. And I think it probably did a really good job of being close to that. All right, let's go through some positives before we go through the negatives. Positives are, we're back on the football field, right? Okay. Goal lines. Inside of the goal lines, now we're in American football, 20-yard line. So from 20-yard line to goal line is called the red zone. This set performs from 20 to 20 really, really well. Okay? So in things like pop and rock and like alt electronic and K-pop, yes, I did it. I've got 3 K-pop tracks in my test tracks now. 2 from Dreamcatcher and 1 from New Jeans. So cool. The music's actually pretty enjoyable, honestly. I'm surprised. Anyway, so in that sort of 20-yard line to 20-yard line area, this set performs really well. Like, it is enjoyable to listen to. most sort of, I would call it, safer musical genres, right? It's when you start getting into the extremes, like this is the team that drives you all the way down to the 20-yard line, maybe to the 18 or 17-yard line, and then inevitably runs the ball 3 times in a row and kicks a field goal to get 3 points instead of scoring a touchdown. There's the finish of that analogy. Okay? That's kind of what the EM6L is. It's the team that drives the ball, moves the ball really, really well until it matters the most, and then it just kicks. Boom. Just like that. That being said, back to the positives here. If you are a fan of pop, rock, like mainstream rock, alt electronic, for like bands like, oh gosh, I just put them on my test track list too. Black Mambo. I'll come up with it. Oh yeah, there we go. Glass Animals. Another great group. I'm not even sure they're still together, but another great group. Released like 3 albums back in the late 2010s, and just really, really fun group. So things like that, and I'll even give it, like, it's got a pretty impressive head stage. I'm borrowing head stage from somebody, and I'm not sure who, and again, I'm not claiming that as my own. That is somebody else's, but I feel like it does describe soundstage for IEMs a little bit more accurately because of, they're in your ears. You don't have speakers sitting on the outside of your ears. You're not sitting in a room with speakers 8-10 feet away from you. It's kind of like more like the stage that goes on inside your head. Okay, so if that was you, if head stage is your coined phrase, please let me know, because I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I don't like taking other people's stuff, especially without like acknowledging it's somebody else's. Anyway, head stage. Back to head stage. Pretty impressive. Like pretty wide, pretty deep, pretty front to back. This was really apparent on some of the K-pop tracks, which the way that they're mixed, mastered, they're very clean and they're very well produced. So when you get panning and different things happening, different areas, like that, it picks up on that. It even, like, going to like more of a live recording with Jimi Hendrix's Hear My Train A-Comin', there it is. Even with that track, like when the drummer goes from the hi-hat to the ride, it does go from lower left channel primarily, sort of in the back, to mid high, like feels like it's a little bit above your head. It presents that really well. So that's the enigma of this set, is that there's some technical aspects of it that are really like impressive, and in a safe way it plays music really, really well, but it just doesn't have the thing that would make it great. And it's hard to really put a fine point on what that is, because it can vary from song to song. Like, let's just scratch off the metal is not happening, okay? The closest I could get to that was it played Roots Remain by Mastodon pretty well, and it played Super Unknown by Soundgarden pretty well. It would not be my go-to set for that. And anything heavier than that, you can just forget it. It bottoms out, it tops out, it just gets messed up pretty quick. But in that sort of safe zone, in that sort of more popular music zone, it does really well. What else does it do well? Female vocals, excellent. So when I listen to Melody Gardot, she's a contralto, which is slightly lower than an average alto, right? She sounds great. There are sets that I have, and I used actually the surprise, I used the LM as one of my comps for this because, well, brother and sister. The LM got too heady, too intoxicating, too weighty with Melody's voice. It was too almost cloying. With these, it stays very sweet, very clear, and just really, really nice. Also, with Anna Netrebko's soprano on Dido's Lament presents really, really well. So there are things that this set does as well as, if not better than, some of the other sets in its group, right? I did throw in the Phoenix Call, and then I took it right out because I'm like, this is not fair, because the Phoenix Call is just much better. It actually can score a touchdown, whereas these don't typically do so. And this isn't saying, like, if you own this set and you like this set, or you own this set and you love this set, then I'm not taking away from that. Because if the music that you're listening to on it is presented in the way that really makes you happy, then that's great. For me, it just doesn't, well, it doesn't do a vast majority of my library well at all. And some of the other things I feel like it should do well, it falls short on. In the excitement, you know, in that energy, it's almost famous. That's what it is. It got all the way to the end and then dropped off. So, who is this set for? And I do think that it's okay, you know, for $100. I'd prefer it to be under 100. Prefer it to be at least the same price as the LM, because it's different enough that some people may prefer it. It is a more polite listen than the LM. It's not as intense. It doesn't have the energy, but it's still good. It's still a solid set. So yeah, I think this set is more for people. It's also a good background set, right? So it's not necessarily something you have to pay attention to. It doesn't like demand your attention like the LM does, like the Phoenix Call does. I was perfectly happy doing dishes with this. I was perfectly happy folding laundry with this on, with these in. Fine, you know? And that's the whole thing. They're fine. They're fine. They're fine. That's about what I could say about them. They're fine. But not super exciting. Not exciting enough for this guy right here. If you're interested and you want to purchase it, I will post the Linsol Audio affiliate link, which you can use to support the channel. I know I probably didn't sell these super hard. I'm just trying to be honest with you. They might work for you. Like, if you like things a little bit more polite, a little bit less intense, and you don't listen to metal, these could be right up your alley. Literally, they could be right up your alley, because they're just so. And of course, I will post a link to either Amazon or Hi-Fi Go or something that's not affiliated as well, if you're uncomfortable with that whole thing, which some people are, and I get it. I think that's going to wrap for this video. I hope you enjoyed my almost famous sort of analogy with this set. Please watch that movie if you are a lover of music. It's definitely a good watch. And if you're not affiliated with any other college hockey team, pull for the Big Red this weekend. I hope when I post my next review, either Sunday or Monday, I'll be celebrating their first trip to the final Frozen 4 in about 22 years. So let's keep our fingers crossed for that. That's going to wrap it for today, folks. Be careful, be safe, be nice. I love y'all. Nothing but peace to you. We'll see you.